Earlier this week, the Year of the Manx Language, Blein the Gaelgey, was officially launched at the start of the Cooish Manx Language Festival. The year has been organised by Jeabin, the Manx Language Network, and there will be loads of events during the year to celebrate the language and its place in Manx society. I went along to the packed and somewhat noisy launch earlier this week and spoke to a number of the key parties. For transparency, I should say that I'm a lifelong speaker of Manx and have been involved with many of the organisations you'll hear from in the programme. Talking to the Treasury Minister, and you're here at the launch of the Year of the Manx Language. Why is that important?
I think it's incredibly important. I mean, the Manx culture, particularly Manx language, and then the music that goes from that, the poetry, everything like that, I think defines a lot of what makes us unique. And actually, it's what attracts people to stay on the island, but increasingly people to come and learn more about the island and move to the island as well.
And, you've seen a few of the stalls here. You'll get round to see an awful lot more. How well is the development of the Manx language understood, do you think, in Tynwald?
In terms of Tynwald, we know it exists. But I think we get sometimes bogged down by the legality of it and the organisation of it. What's obvious here is that people are bringing Manx language into normal life. It's not something you go off and do. It's something you can incorporate in terms of playing with your kids, going out, socialising. And that's the way to keep a language alive. I think when you look at the Manx language, it was definitely under threat. It actually took Eamon de Valera to try to kick-start it again and preserve some of that archive that now has been sort of enlivened, put online and enriched. So I think it's really important that not just Tynwald, but people understand that by looking at the past, by looking at what makes us unique as an island nation, we can actually build on that, cherish that, learn the Manx language, but also go further than that in terms of taking it outside our borders, particularly to the Manx diaspora, and actually introducing it to them as well.
And obviously the Year of the Manx Language is ahead of us, 2026. Will we be hearing the Treasury Minister using a few Manx words and phrases in speeches and comments and answers to questions perhaps in Tynwald?
Well, I always dread doing that because if I get the pronunciation wrong, I think you'd be the first one to try to correct me. But definitely try to bring that in more in terms of our common language. I think we have seen that in Tynwald now, with more people using some of the phrases, even taking the oath in Manx as well. And obviously on Tynwald Day, Manx plays a really important part of that celebration of our democracy.
The Chief Minister officially launched the Year of the Manx Language, and we'll hear his opening speech after Jeabin Chair Chrissy Callahan's opening remarks.
I'm delighted to welcome you all to our launch of Blein the Gaelgey, the Year of the Manx Language, which we'll be celebrating throughout 2026. Our focus is on Manx language for all. Gael Tom de Hulia Fia. That's at the heart of everything we're doing. Our aim is to ensure that everyone, wherever they're from, whatever their knowledge of Manx is, knows that this language belongs to us all. Throughout the speeches and performances tonight, you'll hear a mixture of Manx and English. Blein the Gaelgey will celebrate and shine a light on what's already happening, bringing Manx to new audiences and creating a lasting legacy. We will be working closely with the Isle of Man government, schools and nurseries, the third sector, businesses, creative and community groups across the island. Together we will highlight how Manx can be a part of everyday life. Before we go any further, I would like to say a huge Gurumaya to our headline sponsor this evening, Island Escapes, who we are delighted to have joined us tonight along with their colleagues from Sapphire Holidays. Our thanks also go to Digital Group and WET Limited for their generous support in helping make this launch possible.
Yeah.
All three organisations have shown through their support that they truly value the role that our unique language plays in the life of our island. We are delighted that other organisations who've already shown their support for the year have also been able to come tonight. we're pleased to announce that the Domestic Event Fund will be supporting a calendar of community events to be delivered by Culture Banning throughout 2026, which will take place across the island. All Jeabin partners are working together on events and projects to connect people here and around the world through Manx. Blein Gaelgey is all about people. It's all about all of us. Over the coming year, there will be opportunities for everyone to go along, to get involved. So tonight, we encourage you to chat with the Manx language organisations and Jeabin partners who are here, find out what they've planned, and think about how you or your organisation could be part of the Year of the Manx Language. Every conversation, every word, every small step will help to make the year a success. I'm confident that together we can make 2026 a year when Manx is heard, seen and shared more than ever before. Guramayaw, Chasin Jikin Rowan is Blein Yindistan.
Kastamai, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here actually this evening to support the official launch of the Year of the Manx Language and to recognise the vital role that culture and language play in shaping a sense of identity and purpose on our island and indeed spreading the message of heritage and strength both nationally and internationally. One of the things that I've been so pleased to see in recent years is the development of our culture and identity. I'd actually like to pay tribute to the young Gish people here tonight who have been playing such a key role in developing that. I don't want to mention names, but there's a significant group of individuals, both within Culture Banning, but also in the Department for Education and outside the department, who really are spreading our language, our culture, identity through music, through dance, through engagement in the theatre and in the arts. I'm delighted that we're going to see and hear from Scran tonight. It was an absolute pleasure to hear from some members of Jeabin before they went to Morocco at a coffee morning I was pleased to host in Kirkmike. And I would just like to say to all of you who are engaged, positively engaged, in helping promote our language and our identity in such a positive way, thank you very much, because it's important. Now, I think the year that we're about to hear about, or are hearing about and celebrating in terms of the launch, I'm sure will be one chairman of Culture Banning, Mr. Thomas, he keeps telling me, will be one of participation. And on that note, I'm going to try my hand at a little bit more Manx than just Fastamai and Guramayaw. Like doing the voice of Eri son, a frail I chamai a formad a chowda formad, son Cooish Chengi Chachera Erin Bass. That's actually my grandfather, the Reverend Charles Alfred Cannon, in a sermon in 1975, actually at a time when the Manx language was very much disappearing from our shores. And it translates as, let us be thankful for the language and maintain it as well as we can, for as long as we can, because without our language, our country dies. So I'm really pleased to be here tonight, and I hope that next year there will be a true celebration of our Manx language and our Manx culture.
Talking to the Education Minister, obviously the Department of Education is one of the key partners in Jeabin, and Jeabin, of course, is the organisation which is organising the Year of the Manx Language, Blein Gaelgey. Why is it important for the department to be involved in this, do you think?
Well, obviously we've got a large number of young people coming through various schools, and very happy that all children have the access in primary schools to take up Manx Gaelic. Obviously it's the Manx Language Network, Jeabin, that is hosting it and coordinating it. There's Cooish Manx is a key partner, and I also sit on there as a member as well. And I suppose the benefits are, one, it's deeply rooted in our culture. It enhances everything. The fact of having a Manx language just makes us more Manx, if you like. There are so many place names and phrases that are key to how we are as a people. I think it's a very important thing for the community. I really welcome, though, the advantages that the focus on the Year of the Manx Language is giving it, because there are so many possibilities of poetry and speaking and language applications that, you know, our imagination is unlimited in what it can do and what it can achieve in raising awareness of Manx, but also encouraging more and more people to adopt a small part of Manx. So yeah, generally it's Yindasak.
Yindasak, indeed. And obviously one of the things that pretty much everybody on the Isle of Man can do during the Year of the Manx Language is say things like Moramai, Fastamai, Guramayu, things like that. Is there any chance that we'll find the Education Minister moving in that direction?
Yeah, I do quite a lot. I don't in the House of Keys particularly, but I generally do use a little bit of Manx, particularly when I'm around other people who, you know, particularly Cooish Manx, I suppose, who are very comfortable. And it becomes it. But I also absolutely, I'm enthused about the English dictionary adopting some of our key Manx phrases. And every day, I mean, I heard it tonight, you know, things are trade lure. That's what we have in the Isle of Man, getting the skeet. There are key phrases that I think I've picked up without even realising that they weren't English, because they've crossed that divide. So I think that there's, you know, the language is deeply embedded into the culture. The culture is part of what makes us unique and special as the Isle of Man, and putting the emphasis on the Year of the Manx Language could only let that explode in so many wonderful ways, that I'm really delighted to see Jeabin as a network be able to engineer that and make things, you know, more positive. It's going to be a great year.
One of the things that you sort of alluded to there is perhaps a nervousness, and you know, if it's any consolation, that nervousness exists amongst Manx speakers as well, to maybe using a few words and phrases in Manx in settings that you are not sure how that's going to go down. I mean, is that a concern? I mean, obviously you're not a fluent Manx speaker. Is that a concern that you have about using Manx?
Yes, I think it's something that particularly people maybe who weren't born here might feel more inhibited than others. But in the privacy of my own car, going down south or up south, I would always say Fastamai Munchavega when I'm crossing the ferry bridge. And I would always tell visitors to do that as well. My children say that. So there are key Manx phrases that you just pick up. And in terms of giving it a toast, you know, slant shay, and we embrace more and more elements, I think, of Manx culture, folklore and tradition, and we're all enriched by that.
That was Education Minister Daphne Kane. Next, Chief Minister Alf Cannon. You used some words in your opening speech from your grandfather, who was popularly referred to as Boom Boom Cannon, and he was quite active in terms of being a Manx speaker and supporter of the language.
Yeah, very much. He was actually one of the few remaining Manx speakers in 1975, and I did quote from a sermon he gave at that time, which is obviously a real privilege, and of course ties in very nicely with the Year of the Manx Language, which is about to take place next year.
And why is it important from a government perspective to support a year like this?
I think because, you know, our culture, our identity, our heritage is as important, if not more important, than ever as we move forward in a very changing world around us. And I think it's really something to be celebrated and treasured. And as my grandfather said in that sermon that I quoted from, you know, a nation without its language is not a nation at all, effectively. So I think that we do need to really be careful to ensure that we treasure what we have, look after it and maintain it for the generations to come as a recognition of our heritage and background and what our forefathers stood for, so that we can carry forward those values and that sense of tradition and that sense of identity. And of course, it does reach out more than just Manx. It reaches out culturally across the boundaries, and I think I'm hoping next year that will be a year of participation as well, not just for everybody who is Manx by birth, but everybody who lives on our island will be able to participate and share in that sense of pride in our island's history and heritage.
And pretty much everybody on the Isle of Man, I think, now would know what Moramai, Fastamai, Guramayu, things like that mean. So yeah, everyone could use them.
Absolutely, and one of the other things that's been so impressive actually in recent years is this embracing of Manx culture by the younger generation, I suppose. I know that you and many others have fought to keep it going and keep it alive with the charitable work and educational work that you've been doing. But I think, or I hope you will agree, there's a real breed of youngsters, some of whom we've heard tonight, playing Manx jigs and reels, and singing and dancing, and actually with it educating as well, but they're doing so in such a way that they're doing it with happiness and with joy, and I think that itself is embracing for anybody who's not really experienced that type of thing before, and I hope will build our nation and bring us all a bit closer together with the year ahead of us, which I hope will be a chance also to celebrate some of the singing and the dancing that goes along with the language.
Well, we've just nipped outside to do this interview, and as it's bucketing with rain now, Guramai Moro, Chief Minister.
Guramai.
Talking to the chair of Culture Vannon, or Caerliach Culture Vannon, as we should say, bearing in mind this is the year of the Manx Language launch, Chris Thomas. It's clearly not an easy environment to find lots and lots of money to make a year of the Manx language happen. For those listening who are concerned that we're about to squander vast amounts of taxpayers' resource, what would you say?
Fastamai, lovely evening. Some great young people and older people performing for us. Delighted that the Chief Minister remembered his family tradition in Manx and made a very important speech. It's a great language. It took 5 years more than we all would have liked to organise it, but with the with Jeabin and the other bodies behind the language, working with Cooish Manx and the Department of Education, so pleased to put it on. Cooish Manx in itself gets lottery money plus a small grant from Treasury. So pleased that we were able to announce tonight that the Domestic Events Fund has given us a small amount of money in their terms, but a large amount for us to support the language, and we're so grateful. And we've also managed to get support from outside government for this year already. So this launch evening was sponsored for us, and we hope to have some more announcements to make. Basically, the culture, the language, the dance, the stories, everything about the identity of Manx is being celebrated through the language, just as the Chief Minister explained, quoting his granddad, I think it was.
And of course, there's lots of partners involved with this, aren't there? I mean, obviously the main people involved, Department of Education and the Culture Vannon, as you've mentioned, but there are also all the Manx language charities are encouraged to take part. I mean, I know because I'm Chief Exec of Munja Vega, that Munja Vega is playing an active role in this over the coming year. I think Manx National Heritage is involved as well. So there's lots of different partners using, on the whole, existing budgets, but effectively promoting the year of the Manx language.
Yeah, Cooish Manx and the other charitable partners, like you described, have used their own budgets, and I'm so delighted that vision that was launched as part of the Manx language strategy 5 years ago is actually coming to fruition, and we will have a whole language. Let's see what happens. I'm very excited, I'm very optimistic, but I'm always a glass full person, and I do think next year's going to be Yindasach.
Why is it important? Because I mean, there'll be a lot of people thinking, well, the language has no real value anymore. It's a language of the past, and it's kind of had its day. Why is it important to promote it?
Well, in this week, Hop to Nay matters here just as much, if not more, than Halloween from other parts of the world. There are so many traditions that we celebrate over Christmas and at other times of the year. That's the beauty of Cooish Manx, is its work with partners, cultural partners, to explore some of these traditions and language. We focused on creating resources. The number of people who claim to speak Manx, and I've got no reason to doubt them, is increasing every census. And the Chief Minister used his granddad's words about, which should sound slightly dated now, but sort of no language, no country. I think we've gone on from that, but part of the Manx identity is definitely the language, and certainly it's the stories and the collective tales about ourselves that make it so important for us. It's just wonderful, and I'm very excited. I do think things will happen that we haven't quite envisaged as yet, because we've got a small amount of money to start it, and I think we'll be having more and more announcements through the year. And it's not just 1 year; it's the legacy. This is part of the slow accretion of everything Manx that has to be important for the future of the Isle of Man. I think the Chief Minister talked in this year's Island Plan, this year's version of the Island Plan, about soft power. The director of Cooish Manx recently went off to talk in Brussels about the revitalisation of the Manx language, and that's soft power at its heart. The more and more people who speak about us, the better it is for the future of our nation. Whether you're a tax advisor, whether you're a musician, basically however you make your livelihood, it's better if people know who you are, and telling something about yourselves is the way to make sure people remember you.
And of course, being as how it's a Manx affair, a number of the charities, and I probably would count Munjavega among them, are still working on their ideas as to what they're going to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have ideas already planned, but in Manx organisations, you can't rush things, can you?
Exactly right, and I think I'm in the Oxford English Dictionary in 2017 at the Ilm Down lecture for modern usage of Trade Ilia, and we had an initial round of grants from directors' funds for the Manx Language Year. We've got another one coming up, and we really do hope things mushin. In a couple of weeks, I've got a 50th anniversary of 1979, the made-up date for 1,000 years of Tynwald, and that grew through the course of the last few months before the year and during the year. And I'm absolutely sure that the Manx Way will be, this year, is bigger by the end of it than we currently even imagine it to be now.
We are Scran, we are Manx Trad Youth Band from the Isle of Man.
And your name?
Risa Brown.
Ailish Kilgallen.
Daniel Cross.
And you obviously perform very lively Manx music, but you also sing in Manx, don't you? Why is that important?
It's important to share the Manx language with people that don't know it, as the Manx language is dying out and isn't very well known.
And you guys are superstars, aren't you? I mean, you really are superstars.
We have become a bit of a famous name on the Isle of Man, that's for sure, but we're getting a lot better at promoting ourselves as a band, especially as it's a youth band. It gets quite hard to promote ourselves around the island.
You're off to, or have you, well, I don't know, are you off to or did you go to? You're off to, aren't you? You're off to London.
Yeah, well, it's a very exciting opportunity. After we were entered into this Music for Youth event, we performed in the Heats in Birmingham in July, and they've asked us back to their youth proms at the Royal Albert Hall, and we're performing on Monday.
That's going to be exciting, I guess.
Yeah, it's very, very, very exciting, very good opportunity that we've been very excited and looking forward about, and we've been working very hard for this.
And you don't suffer from nerves, do you?
Well, I tend to get a bit nervous beforehand, whereas when I'm playing I just blank it out and enjoy myself whilst playing the Manx music.
Well, Guramai Moyo son Ulyu and Kjolli and the Sack Tashu Jinu.
Guramayad.
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 talking to the chair of Jeabin, the head teacher of the Bunscoil Gaelgey, and all-round good egg, Chrissy Callahan.
Gurmayed, Pastamai.
Jeabin, tell us a little bit about what Jeabin actually is.
Jeabin is a network of Manx people working within the language and worker professionals working in the language who are trying to work together to develop and to ensure there's progression for the language for anyone learning the language, and that starts right through from working with Munjavega with the very, very little children, working through to Bunscoil Gaelgey with the Skimmy Gaelgey, so that we've got children in secondary school and also children in primary school learning Manx, and then working also we've got members of the Manx Language Research Group on Jeabin who are bringing that sort of evidence base to everything we're doing around the Manx language. We also have members from Cooish Manx and from
Manx National Heritage.
Thank you, exactly, Manx National Heritage. So it's bringing everyone together so that we can look at commonalities but also work towards the Manx language strategy, which is the sort of development that we're trying to work towards with the aspiration of developing or encouraging 5,000 speakers by 2032.
And this is very much a collaborative effort, isn't it? I mean, it's we're not. For listeners who might be concerned about this isn't a huge big splash of cash by government. This is effectively all the various agencies in government, as well as the charities that support the Manx language, using their resources wisely to celebrate the year of the Manx language.
Absolutely, and I think this is sort of a platform halfway through our current Manx language strategy to go, right, where are we, what have we done, what have we developed? Let's have this year as a way of celebrating everything that's going on, because there's so much good that's going on in the language. You know, tonight at this launch we saw some wonderful young people who are using the language through the medium of song, through dance, and you know, they're the generations who will keep Manx going in the future. So, you know, long may that continue, and may we support that.
And it is a tremendous thing, and you know, you've recently taken up the role of head teacher at the Bunscoil Gaelgey, the Manx Language School in St John's. That must be a tremendous privilege for you.
It's an absolute privilege and an honour to see what goes on in the school until you are immersed in that environment and you see everything that the teaching staff do there in order to support the children in learning through Manx. It's just wonderful to see and understand how that operates and how that works, and those are our future speakers that are being supported and developed through the language within the school. You know, it's a wonderful, I mean, we've got a lot more children who are coming to the school now. Our numbers are projected to grow, and if you think about that in terms of the numbers of Manx speakers going through, then that's a really exciting thing for the school. But again, we need to develop the teaching staff, as in more teachers, to be able to continue that and develop that and grow that.
And again, you know, because I know lots of criticism has been levelled at any expenditure towards things that aren't deemed as essential, but actually these children would need to be educated, whether that was through Manx or whether it was through English. And of course, as I know, as one of the founders of the school and a parent of one of the children, one of the first children that went through the school, it does so much more than the standard education that you would get in an English-only school.
And I think that's the beauty of the school. The school offers, and we know all the research around the value of bilingualism, multilingualism, and the children are learning so much, but they get so much through sort of involving themselves in the wider language, culture, heritage of the island, as well as the language, and come out very rounded young people at the end of it. They're very creative, they're very confident. You know, we get reports of young people who've gone on to secondary school from Bunscoil Gaelgey who are very confident going into that secondary school environment, and their outcomes on exit, even though they're learning through another language, are really on a level, if not higher, than their peers. So it's a really positive, good news story in terms of learning a language and learning through the medium of Manx.
Talking to Nicola Toombs, member of An Gaelgey, the Manx Language Society, the oldest Manx language organisation in the world, as well as a representative of Manx National Heritage, Eirach de Siúnach Fannin, and you are, as such, a member of Jeabin, the organising committee for the Year of the Manx Language.
That's right, yeah, I suppose like most of us, the Manx language community is quite small and we're quite busy, so we've all got several hats that we wear. So yes, on a voluntary basis, I'm a member of An Gaelgey, and that's one thing I do, and my work is I work at the Manx Museum, so I work for Manx National Heritage, and through our work we are members of Jeabin, the Manx Language Network, so we work together with the other Manx language organisations, and yeah, one of the things we're doing is the Year of the Manx Language next year.
And I've asked a lot of people this already, but what's so important about the Manx language that it needs a year?
Oh, I love that you're asking this, Phil. Well, it doesn't need a year, but it's getting a year, and we're going to use that year to really celebrate Manx. So I think it's always worthwhile taking a step back and celebrating the things that we value. And Manx is an intrinsic part of our heritage and our identity. We just value it as an important thing. So this is just a real opportunity to celebrate it. And then, of course, we know there's lots of people here on the island that don't know everything about the Isle of Man. Maybe they were raised here and they weren't lucky enough to have come into contact with it as they were growing up, or they're newcomers and they're wanting to know more and they haven't yet had that chance. So the Year of the Manx Language is a great opportunity for us to celebrate Manx, but also to shout about it, to sing about it, to raise its profile, to raise the image of it for anybody who wants to know more about it.
One of the things that Jeabin is a collective, and the collective, each individual part of the collective is organising various bits for the Year of the Manx Language. What sort of things is Manx National Heritage thinking about and Gaelgey thinking about?
Well, first I'll answer for Manx National Heritage. So we've got some events on the go and some refreshes of some of our existing displays, but one of the big things we're doing is we're having a big exhibition next year that's going to celebrate Manx from April to October here at the Manx Museum. And I'm working on that at the moment, and we're doing that in collaboration with Ruth over at Cooish Manx. So that's, I wouldn't say it's just for the Manx speaker though, it's for anyone who's Gaelg curious, a bit like the whole Year of Manx really. It's not just a celebration for those people who are Manx speakers and want to sort of self-congratulate themselves. It's all about making it as widely available to everyone. So it's the same with the exhibition. So anyone, whether you've never heard a word of Manx in your life, whether you're a visitor over, visiting on a cruise ship or whatever, I want you to come to the Manx Museum and not be able to leave without knowing that Manx exists and to know a few things about it.
And of course, everybody, absolutely everybody on the Isle of Man uses some Manx, even if they don't realise it, because an awful lot of the place names are Manx, aren't they?
Well, of course. I mean, who hasn't heard someone say there's no sandwiches in Marks and Spencer's because the Ben's not come in, and they're using Manx. They don't know they're using Manx. Or I went to go and watch the TT up at Craignabar, and they're using Manx, like you say, whether or not they know it. It's woven into our culture and our heritage so much so that we're all almost unaware of it, which is nice in a way. But because we do value these things, and there are pressures on our heritage and on our culture, because we have to be careful to look after them and to save them, to celebrate them, that they don't get overshadowed by other more dominant cultures. It's a good thing to have a year of the Manx language and to say, right, we're going to take stock, we're going to really celebrate it, and we're going to use this as a reason to really shout about Manx and really talk about Manx. So for everybody, for the Manx speaker, for the Manx person who's lived here all their lives, that's got several generations going back, and they feel like, oh well, I've never really used any words of Manx, and I bet you they have. I bet you they've had a bravag by the fire and they don't know they're using the Manx, and they'll go, oh yes, well obviously I know that word, but when we come across it all the time, don't we? Yeah. Tread a lure. Yeah.
And everyone's been to Douglas.
Yeah.
And Douglas, of course, is a classic Gaelic place name. I mean, one of the things that I certainly hope will come out of Blein the Gaelgey is that everyone will actually have a go at using a bit of Manx. And even those of us who are Manx speakers, who perhaps are reluctant to use a little bit of Manx with just about anybody, you know. There can't be many people left on the Isle of Man that don't know what Moramai and Fastamai are. So why don't we just do that for the whole of the year?
Well, I certainly, you pepper my English when I'm talking to anybody, whether it's a newcomer, whether it's a visitor. You know, I pepper the odd, Moramai, and then I'll always, you never do it to be exclusionary. You're always, you don't want to confuse people. You want to do it in a friendly way. So you might say, oh, Moramai, good morning, how are you? And it's a great way to sort of introduce that concept. But I think we sometimes live in a wee bit of a bubble because we're surrounded by Manxness and Manx people. But actually, there are quite a lot of people on this island that don't come into contact with Manx, and they're the people we really need to reach out to, because I bet a lot of them would really enjoy it and really get into it if they knew it. But yes, I think there's still plenty of work to be done, to be honest, to reach those people. They might have seen they might have seen the Tread Alua counter in Tesco, but they'd be hard pushed to recall any of it. And I think sometimes we need to be careful that we're not living in our bubble and relying on the fact that we can all say Fastamai and Moramai to each other, and try and bring in all those people that, maybe haven't had the opportunity before.
Well, we've heard earlier in the programme from some of the politicians, and I've kind of shamed them into saying that they're going to use a lot more Manx during Blein the Gaelgey, so let's hope that they do.
Yeah, I don't think, I think encouraged to use, yeah. So that's the thing, isn't it? Like, we want to positively encourage everyone to use Manx, and that's anybody. You don't have to have 27 generations of Manx grandparents. If you've come here and just got off the boat and you feel like this is the place for you, you want to participate in Manx culture, then come along and you're very welcome.
So I'm talking to Christopher Lewin, and you are one of the founding members of the Manx Language Research Group, and therefore a member of Jeabin, the organising committee for Blein the Gaelgey.
Yes, I'm delighted to be here for the Cooish. We've just opened the Cooish today with the Ned Madrill lecture, which we've sort of taken on organising of for the last few years. And delighted to see a young new voice in Manx research, Erin McNulty, who's just completed her PhD, telling us about what it means to be a Manx speaker.
And what does it mean for you that we are actually having this year of the Manx language?
I think it's very important. I think Manx has come on a long way in the last since I started learning as a child, over 20 years ago now. The Manx community was still quite small in the 90s and the noughties, and now you don't know who speaks Manx, and it's been going from strength to strength. But I think there still is a lot more to consolidate and to expand, and I think it's good to have a year where the language has a higher profile, and maybe a bit more attention from government and from the powers that be, and hopefully a chance to maybe have a conversation about where the language needs to go in the next few decades.
We've both been away at the Oireachtas, the Irish Language Festival, and the word in Manx is greaset. You can't help but be greaset, which is the Manx for excited or infused by what you see there. But of course, there's substantial amounts of money put into the Irish language.
That's right, and there's expansion at the moment, especially in the north, where obviously the language has struggled more in the past few decades, but they've now just got an Irish language commissioner, and there's more Irish language signs being put up, as we saw around Belfast when we were there. And of course there's lots of things, loads of organisations and schemes in the south as well, funded by the Irish government, that we could only dream of. So I think it's very important to look at our neighbours for inspiration.
And it is important to dream as well, isn't it?
It's important to have a dream, have a vision.
So I'm talking to Adam Horn, chair of Munja Vega. It was a really fantastic thing to see how all those people in the room for the launch of the Manx Year of the Manx Language, Blein na Gaelgey. What role does Munja Vega have in all of this?
Well, Munja Vega is the grassroots kind of organisation which is responsible for the Parents and Tots group, which allows parents and carers to bring the younger children to get an introduction to kind of what you'd find at a Tots group, a bit of singing and a bit of hearing some Manx. So we arrange those around the island, and then we also have the flagship nursery down at St John's, where it's more of a, not fully immersed, but it's where the children of the nursery can just come and be left, and they can just be taught and hear activities through Manx, such as singing and things like that, really, yeah. And then the view then is that after the Tots group and the nursery, the kind of Munja Vega is kind of the feeder for the Bunskull, really, and then the children go on to the Bunskull to be, in a fully immersed setting and become fluent speakers.
And as far as the Blein na Gaelgey, obviously Munja Vega has a role in that as a Jeabin member.
That's right. I can't remember the exact number of organisations and charity in Jeabin, but Munja Vega plays a vital part in the Jeabin kind of organisation. Yeah. We provide vital support towards the Bunskull, which is done through resources and things like that, yeah.
And actually, I suppose Munja Vega is the largest non-governmental organisation supporting the language now.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of the interesting things when you sat round the table, that there's a lot of great work done by the government bodies, but as you said, Munja Vega is probably the oldest and definitely the organisation with none at all government workers in there, and it's done voluntary, and it's a real vital role, and yeah, we're just looking for more people all the time, really.
And I suppose the thing with Munja Vega, particularly I guess the Pot and Clay groups, is that you don't have to have any Manx to, if you're a parent, a grandparent or childminder, and you want to bring your children along, you don't have to know anything about the Manx language to go there. But by the time you leave, you're probably quite keen.
Yeah, that's right. And to be honest, for the main part, the cohort of people that come actually have no real, definitely don't have any Manx at all. And if we're honest, they don't really, at the beginning, have an interest in the language or have no kind of knowledge of it. But like you said, by the end of it, they come away enthused and kind of amazed at the language and the activities which the leaders of the groups do. Yeah, so people come in kind of a bit kind of prepared of what they're going to receive, and by the time they leave, they're kind of blown, and actually they end up being some of the biggest advocates for the language, and they do a lot on their own free time. So it's not just for the children, it's for the carers, parents, grandparents as well. They kind of get converted by their own accord to become great advocates for the language, yeah.
And as far as Blein na Gaelgey is concerned, what are the plans so far for Munja Vega? I mean, I do accept that we're a Manx or Munja Vega is a Manx organisation. Jeabin generally is filled with Manx people with a Manx ethos of, well, treadle you time enough, but there are some plans ahead, aren't there?
Definitely, there's some plans. There's one for Blein. Well, there's one next week at the Cooish, which is kind of it's not really a Blein na Gaelgey, but the first one that springs to mind is your own event, Phil, the Very one, which is the 3rd of January. So that's our first. I think it's the first event of Blein na Gaelgey as a whole, which Munja Vega is putting on through yourself. And there's a few more. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a few more. But if you go to yearofmanx.im, the events will be getting loaded up there on a weekly basis.
So, Tammy Law, well, Instow, Coy Tammy Law.
Anna Moran, Mary Ways as Tammy and Youth Ambassador, Lesh
Matilda Watson, Tamish Youth Ambassador Nies, son Blein Gilg, Der Talzen is Feed Shay.
As Strayam Grey, Nac Fel, Bonus the Holy Fire to Gaistic Risho Tiggle Shen. So, if we mention this and say that again in English, basically you're the youth ambassadors.
Yeah, we're the youth ambassadors for Year of the Manx 2026, which is next year, which will be celebrating lots of different aspects of the Manx language.
And what you've ably demonstrated by the start of this interview is that you're both fluent Manx speakers.
Oh yeah, Dejario. Speaking it since, day we were born. Well, not really, but we try.
Yeah.
And why is it important? I mean, because so many people don't speak Manx and probably think, well, it's a dead language and it deserves to be left in the history books.
You know what? I think Matilda's great at answering this question, but I think it's just important. There's so many history that's just been lost to, a lot of people didn't really speak or write in English back then. So now it's just been kind of faded away. But now we're trying to regain that history and just try and connect with the island a bit more and the culture that we've not entirely lost, but just has slightly, diminished.
Yeah, it's really important to keep our culture alive, especially with people every day saying how, oh, Manx is weird, Manx is wrong, just be normal and speak English. It's honestly, Manx is our culture, Manx is our heritage, Manx is what we are and who we are, and it's for hundreds of years people have been constantly trying to push us away, and we're just trying to rise up and show everyone that we're not going to be so easily taken over.
And of course it isn't normal to speak English. The vast majority, well, not the vast majority, but loads and loads of people, certainly a majority of people around the world don't speak English, and many people speak what are described as minority languages. So it's not an unusual thing to have more than one language, and particularly in our case, Manx.
No, it's not. And also, I don't think a lot of people realise that Manx is the island's language. Manx has always been spoken on the Isle of Man, and actually to us, English is the language that is different. English is the language that came over, and not that there's anything wrong with speaking English, it's purely the fact that Manx is the Isle of Man's language, and for anyone trying to push us away from our own language who are speaking an entirely different language that came over here, they honestly need to stop it, because I don't think they realise how important Manx is to us and how our culture benefits from it. It's unfair to try and make us speak your language when you've come over here to try and enforce it on us.
And of course English is a handy enough language to have, but if you want to understand the Isle of Man, where better to start than with the Manx language?
Exactly. There are communities across the island that help, especially parents of kids who have gone to the Bunsko. That helps them connect. There's the White House. I remember Caesar does little things there. I remember I went there a few times to volunteer, help out, and it was lovely because it's a mixture of parents, people who know a little bit Manx, a lot of Manx. It's gorgeous. It's just such a lovely community, and I think there's not a more welcoming community where you could learn Manx. You know what I mean? It's the perfect community of people to feel welcome and feel like you're actually wanted and not laughed at for trying. You know what I mean? It's just lovely,
Well, I think Benign Stakisic is trying to send us a message. Let's an arena vai. So, Gurmai Mayu San Lorro.
Shade of A.
Gurmai.
Mary Wade and Matilda Watson finishing this programme about the launch of the Year of the Manx Language. So what do you think? Is the Manx language a vital part of the cultural identity of the Manx nation? Or do you think they're just flogging a dead horse? Let me know your thoughts on the programme by contacting Phil Gorn at manxradio.com and get in touch if you have any ideas for future shows. Don't forget this programme is available as a podcast. I'm Phil Gorn. Go to Myers and Gaystokrom. Thanks for listening.